What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. Hopefully, you guys having a good day so far. It's Saturday, so hopefully you guys got a good weekend lined up. In today's video, we got a little bit of news here. I think some of you guys might be pretty interested in. And when I say little news, I mean pretty big news. Now, we do have the Folan Titan event happening right now, and we did predict that this would probably happen sometime next week. Although in the way that it is happening, it is a little bit different. What I'm talking about is this. On Monday, guys, June 22nd, we're planning to launch the Ethereal Deck of Fate. There we go, guys. This was something that I definitely mentioned was a high possibility. Plarium loves to sneak in these high priority events inside other high priority events. Like, for example, this Titan event, they are throwing in a Deck of Fate. So what can we get in this Deck of Fate? Well, we can collect champion fragments towards Talenna Soulseer. So one of the Web of Corruption champions will be available in this Deck of Fate coming on Monday. Now, who is Talenna Soulseer? Well, she is from the High Elves faction. If you guys don't know what she does or how she is, make sure you guys check out the showcase I have on her. She is a Spirit Affinity support-based champion. 110 base speed, very, very fast with the speed in all battles aura, makes her very versatile. She combines poisons with the buff duration decrease and a cooldown decrease. This ability very similar to Fabian, although it's 1 turn duration less than Fabian. Fabian's is 3 turn decreases and 3 turn reductions versus her 2 turn decrease and 2 turn reduction. However, she does bring increased accuracy on the full team before she applies this ability. Now, that is very, very strong. Imagine if Fabian did that also with his ability. This just means you can build her with less accuracy to perform as if she had higher accuracy. Also, the big thing here is that her ability is 1 turn less, which means it's not as good as Fabian. The buff decrease duration is not as bad, but the 1 turn less on the cooldown reduction is, I think, significantly worse than Fabian. There's other champions that do 2 turn lockouts, for example, like Basher. You don't really see champions like that, really getting used too much, but this ability is still on a 3 turn cooldown is still very, very good. And like I said, she combines poisons in her kit. She applies poisons to all the enemies for 3 turns. This is really nice. And she combines this with a turn meter boost on a 3 turn cooldown. So she can support your team by giving them turn meter. So she could be your fastest champion with the turn meter boost. Or she can be, somewhat of a control champion with the buff duration reduction and the cooldown reduction. Her A1, not super significant or anything, activating poisons. And her passive here, which is also very good at helping out your team. It gives everybody a turn meter whenever a poison debuff is activated on an enemy. The poisons don't necessarily need to be from herself, which is really good. And then this ability is actually really nice too. Decreases enemies' crit rate and crit damage for each poison on them. So it takes away some of the bite from enemies when in arena or waves. It doesn't work against bosses, unfortunately. Now, is this champion good? Yes, she's quite good. She was very impressive in her showcase. Like I said, make sure you guys check it out. There's a couple ways you guys can build her out. I'm not going to go through it in this video, but I think she's definitely going to be very helpful for most players in the game. For me specifically, I do have Fabian. I have invested in him heavily. So for me, she's not going to crack the lineup for like my arena or anything like that right away. But what I found very useful about her is that she's very, very strong in faction wars. And although High Elves normal faction wars is incredibly easy, especially once you get Arbiter, it's very easy. High Elves hard difficulty is incredibly difficult. And a champion like this is definitely going to be very, very helpful in hard faction wars, at least for myself. So really nice champ. I really like her. I was really impressed. Make sure you guys check out the showcase on her if you guys want to take a look. So how are we getting this champion? How are we doing this Deck of Fate? So we are summoning souls from soul stones. I don't think this is a surprise to anybody. And upgrading champions. So this is the energy component, the training component. So we got training with soul stones. How many soul stones will this Deck of Fate cost? So historically, Deck of Fates cost 40,000 points. Historically speaking, during champion Deck of Fates, so guaranteed champion Deck of Fates, the point will be less for the Mortal Soulstone, Immortal Soulstone, and Eternal Soulstone. In the past, historically, at least the last couple of Deck of Fates that they've done, this is the point distribution. It's going to be 70 points for the small ones, 700 points for the medium ones, and then 3,500 points for the big ones. So if we're going to do 40,000 points for the full deck of fate divided by 700, 57 uh, of these middle ones is what you're going to need to complete this deck of fate in its entirety. If you are fully using soul stones to complete the deck of fate, obviously there is a training component, so you can spend, energy training, or you can use chickens, or you can use brews. This can definitely alleviate a lot of the cost if you guys had a lot of food saved up, for example. Training generally is a little bit more accessible for more players than just dungeon diving. However, Soulstones is much less accessible for most players versus shards. So, most of your points are probably going to come from Soulstones. So hopefully you guys were saving up all this time. The last deck of fate that we had for a champion was actually Basim back in February. So that's like about 4 months ago now. I know there's been many 2x boosted events for Soulstones and all that stuff. Hopefully you guys were able to skip most of those, save up those Soulstones. I know some of you guys got really strong hands out there holding those Soulstones, waiting for a guaranteed champion. This might be it for you guys. Talenna Soulseer. Like I said, a good champ. There's going to be 100 fragments hidden in the deck, of course. 30 fragments will be under 3 epic cards, 40 fragments under 8 rare cards, and then 30 fragments under 10 common cards. So that means 21 of the cards out of the 40 cards will be fragment based. And then there's probably going to be some other stuff like relic materials, maybe a primal shard, maybe a book in there. And then lastly, there's no pin rarity for this deck of fate, which makes sense because it's already a very high value deck of fate with the guaranteed champion in it. Why give us the option to pin card rarity, which gives us, more high value rewards? Lastly, it's going to last 4 days. So there's a couple ways to tackle this. There's 4 days worth of energy that you can put into this for champion training. So definitely space it out. Don't go all in on day one and then be done with it. Make sure you space out all your energy, all your gameplay for 4 days. This way, it potentially gives you opportunity to double dip also with other events, perhaps correlating with the Titan event. It could be a dungeon happening at the same time, and then you can get credit for the dungeon while getting credit for the deck of fate. It's a 4-day training event, so you can probably definitely squeeze in some double dipping opportunities. Now, I do want to make a small mention here that yesterday I did pull my shards for the summon rush, and if I knew this news yesterday, I wouldn't have probably pulled for this 100 points over here and then save myself 3 sacred shards. Now, this is something that I think if I wasn't a content creator, I would be more aware of. But basically, when you're doing pull events and you're anticipating something that could happen immediately after the end of that pull event, it's probably best practice for you guys to wait until the last day to pull, because obviously pulling shards and stuff, it's going to be very quick. It's not super tedious. You can literally wait until the last moment to pull your shards. There's no drawback to doing so. So I actually highly encourage you guys to wait until the end of events to commit to them, because you could get news like this deck of fate news that could impact your overall decision. So for example, if you guys watch my poll video, I pulled for the extra 100 blossom points here because I was anticipating a deck of fate next week, but I wasn't sure if it was going to be a must do deck of fate or if it was going to be a skippable deck of fate. So I went for the 100 thinking that if it's a skippable deck of fate, then this 100 for 3 sacred shards is pretty good value for skipping an entire deck of fate. So I gave myself that flexibility by committing to this 100 blossom points. But if I knew that this was going to be the deck of fate, then I knew that there's no Titan points associated with it. Then I wouldn't worry about 100 Titan points in a deck of fate. Anyways, I hope that makes sense to you guys. Like I said, always wait until the last moment to commit to the events, especially if your decision making can be affected by news of events immediately after. So just a little tip for you guys. A couple other comments here I want to make about the Talenna here. So Talenna, her soul is most likely, I would say 100% going to be offered in some kind of capacity within the next 6 weeks or so during the Web of Corruption event. Maybe my guess would be a winner take all for something. Yeah, I could see that happening. The other way they have been distributing souls for these champions in the past have been for Heroes Path events. Since she is being offered in a deck of fate starting at the beginning of next week, I initially thought that there could be a Heroes Path next weekend, displacing the Champion Chase and then displacing the 2x Voids. Now, since this guaranteed champion is happening on Monday, it's unlikely that obviously the other guaranteed champion Varkos is going to show up next weekend. So we can kind of assume that there's no guaranteed champion next weekend. But I still think that it is a possibility for Talenna's 5-star soul to perhaps show up on the weekend. Perhaps if they choose to keep the champion chase format, they might make the champion chase winner get the 5-star soul for Talenna. Or if they go with the Heroes Path format, they could go for the 5-star soul for Talenna in the Heroes Path. And in that case, in both cases, which I just described, it would be shard related. So guys, Plarium wants all your resources. Monday, they want your soul stones and they want your chickens for Talenna. And then next weekend, they want, your shards. So hopefully you guys have been saving up. This might be the champion for you guys. She's a great champion. Like I said, she has the same ability as Fabian, a little bit worse, but she does bring increased accuracy, and that is very nice. So that, for example, a lot of champions are actually building really high resistance, especially the mythical champions, where they can, resist reliably relatively high accuracy. But if you have increased accuracy, it's very difficult for them to resist everything. So if you have increased accuracy, this really helps you get these effects through, whereas a normal Fabian cannot go through sometimes. But keep in mind that the increased cooldowns for 2 turns is definitely way less strong than Fabian's 3-turn. But I really like her A2 where that she gives you the Termir boost. That's kind of nice also. So you can totally build her as, a speed champion. And if you don't really want to use this, no reason not to, I think, to start off your arena fight. You can definitely go into like a Termir boost also. And for PvE content, the poison is very useful. Poison adds a little bit more damage. In my playtest, you guys can check it out. I used her with a rack elixir, which boosts the damage of poisons, and it actually worked out pretty fine. It's actually pretty fun seeing her like kill enemies with poison, and even her passive actually quite useful. Imagine landing 2 of these poisons on your enemy. They lose 10% crit rate and 20% crit damage. So 10% crit rate. It can mean the difference between your champions taking a massive hit or a normal hit. And because her poisons are 3-turn cooldowns, it's very likely that she can land multiples of these and cycle through her abilities and land multiple of the poisons, further reducing their crit rate and crit damage. So actually a very cool champion. I really like her. Like I said, you guys make up your own minds by checking out the showcase. That's going to be it for this video, guys. So we got a deck of fate coming Monday. It's going to be a 4-day long deck of fate, soul stones and training, and the prize will be Talenna Soulseer. So I think she might be worth your time, guys. Definitely check out the showcase, like I mentioned. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think about Talenna. Do any of you have her already? How are you guys using her? How are you guys building her? Do you guys like her? Are you guys excited, disappointed about this Deck of Fate news? Does this impact your Folan Titan event plans? Let me know in the comments. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching until the end. Have a great Saturday, and I'll see you guys in the next video.